Welcome to this explainer. You know, back in May 2026, Indian politics got hit by an absolute digital earthquake. Today, we're diving into one of the most astonishing, rapid-fire political movements to ever sweep across the internet, the Cockroach Janta Party, or CJP. What started out as pure satire went from zero to an absolute juggernaut in just a matter of days, grabbing the attention of millions of unemployed youth, national media, and even sitting politicians. We're going to unpack exactly how this happened, what they're actually demanding, and what the whole thing tells us about modern internet activism.
Here's how we're going to break it down. First, the controversial courtroom remark. Then the rise of the swarm, their 5 core demands, how the establishment strikes back, and finally we'll ask, is this satire or class panic?
All right, part 1, a controversial courtroom remark. This is the inciting incident.
So picture this. It's May 15th, 2026, during a Supreme Court hearing. The Chief Justice of India, Surya Kant, makes a remark that just sent shockwaves across the internet. He said, and I quote, "There are youngsters like cockroaches who don't get any employment or have any place in the profession. Some of them become media, some of them become social media, RTI activists, and other activists, and they start attacking everyone." End quote. To millions of young Indians dealing with real issues like inflation and a brutal job market, wow. It felt like a direct personal insult from the very top of the establishment.
Now, to be totally fair here, we've got to look at the whole picture. Chief Justice Surya Kant did actually come out later with a clarification. He stated he was misquoted and taken completely out of context. He emphasized that he was specifically criticizing people entering the legal profession with fake and bogus degrees, definitely not all unemployed youth. He even called the youth the pillars of a developed India. But you know how the internet works, right? The clarification came way too late. That cockroach label, it was already claimed, owned, and worn like a badge of absolute rebellion.
Which brings us to part 2, Rise of the Swarm, from meme to movement.
The speed of this thing was literally staggering. Let's look at the timeline. Day 0, we get the CGI's remark. Literally the very next day, Day 1, the Cockroach Janta Party is officially founded online, and the hashtag #MainBeCockroach, which translates to "I too am a cockroach," hits #1 nationwide, no joke. Fast forward to Day 4, this digital meme spills over into real life. Volunteers in full, literal cockroach costumes are out there cleaning up the highly polluted Yamuna River in Delhi. And then Day 5 happens, and they pull off something totally unprecedented. To really wrap our heads around this Day 5 milestone, think about the ruling Bharatiya Jana Party, the BJP. They're often cited as the world's largest political party. Well, their official Instagram account sat at around 8.8 million followers. The Cockroach Janta Party, they completely blew past them in under a week, hitting over 15 million followers, over 15 million. The sheer volume and speed here is just jaw-dropping. It goes to show how deeply this satirical party struck a chord with India's chronically online youth.
So you're probably wondering, who is actually behind all this? The founder is Abhijit Dipke. He's a 30-year-old PR grad from Boston University and a former social media volunteer for the Aam Aadmi Party. And man, he knew exactly what he was doing. He completely weaponized Gen Z internet culture. Every aesthetic choice is deliberately, brilliantly absurd to fuel the viral fire. Their official party color? Plum cheese. Their election symbol? A smartphone. And get this, the eligibility requirements to join? You just have to be unemployed, delightfully lazy, online for at least 11 hours a day, and a professional complainer. It is an absolute masterclass in political satire.
Okay, moving on to part 3, the 5 core demands, the manifesto.
Because underneath all those goofy costumes, the CJP dropped a surprisingly hardcore, legally dense manifesto. They laid out 5 non-negotiable demands. Number 1, absolutely no Rajya Sabha or post-retirement seats for retired chief justices. Number 2, prosecuting election commission officials under the UAPA anti-terror laws if they delete legitimate votes. Number 3, pushing women's reservation in parliament and the cabinet to a full 50%. Number 4, canceling media licenses held by massive corporate conglomerates. And finally, number 5, a strict 20-year political ban on any politician who defects from their party. I mean, the contrast is wild, right? You've got a joke party putting out some of the most intense political demands we've seen in a while.
And guess what? The political establishment actually took notice. Sitting members of parliament, folks like Mahua Moitra, Kirti Azad, and Akhilesh Yadav, started publicly engaging with and supporting the movement online. Even senior lawyers and activists backed them up. They realized the CJP had hit a massive nerve regarding genuine youth frustration over issues like the NEET exam paper leaks and chronic unemployment. Satire was basically pulling up a chair at the adults' table.
But every action has a reaction. Part
4. The establishment strikes back. Censorship and friction. As you'd expect, the bigger they got, the faster the pushback came. It was a rapid-fire sequence of events. First up, the official CJP X account, formerly Twitter, was suddenly withheld in India because of a legal demand. Then, right after they hosted a petition demanding a minister's resignation over those NEET exam leaks, bam, their official website was completely taken down. And it escalated even further. Abhijit Deepke, the founder, reported getting anonymous death threats on WhatsApp, threatening his life and demanding he shut the whole thing down.
So now we have two totally competing narratives. On one hand, you have the government. Acting through the Ministry of Electronics and IT, based on Intelligence Bureau inputs, they cited national security and threats to the sovereignty of India, basically arguing the content was inflammatory. On the flip side, you've got the CDJP and its founder calling this straight-up dictatorial behavior. They claim these actions are specifically designed to crush legitimate youth dissent, especially the outrage over those national exam leaks. This brings us to our final section, Part 5, Satire or Class Panic, the sociological critique. Let's take a step back for a second and really think about this. Is the Cockroach Janta Party an actual grassroots political resistance movement? Or is it just middle-class panic in the face of a terrifying job market? Our sources offer two very different ways to look at it. First, there is the Gen Z view. They see the CJB as a completely authentic, massive digital rebellion. To them, it's this brilliant way to channel severe frustration about inflation, unemployment, and systemic failures into one giant unified voice. But there is a strong sociological critique out there too, notably published in the Indian Express. They look at it and say, hold on, this is just the Instagramization of politics. They argue it's an elite-driven, performative trend where people just consume resistance visually, rather than actually practicing it collectively. To give you an idea of that critique, Amir Haider Khan wrote in the Indian Express, "This is not class solidarity, it is class panic. Social media rewards outrage without responsibility." It's a really fascinating point. The argument is basically that for years, the urban digital class kind of ignored the struggles of informal laborers or farmers. But the second a college degree stopped guaranteeing a safe job and unemployment hit the urban middle class, boom, the language of revolution explodes online. It really makes you wonder if posting a meme is the same thing as actual activism.
Which leaves us with one massive lingering question. Will all this digital anger actually transform the ballot box? Or is it destined to just remain trapped in the algorithm? Honestly, that might be the defining question for modern internet activism. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. And hey, always keep questioning what you see popping up on your feed.